And so I had, and the doctor came over, and, you know, I'm sick as a dog. I'm the only one, of course, that got sick. And,
Hello, hope you are having a great day. Gary Sinise said a heartbreaking goodbye after his son was tragically diagnosed with a rare spinal tumor. In the face of this terrible ordeal, what helped the family stay strong and keep their faith? Learn about Gary Sinise's touching story and his family's courageous journey in the video below. Gary Sinise leaves Hollywood. Gary Sinise, a skilled and well-liked actor who had breakthrough parts in successful films such as Forrest Gump and CSI New York, unexpectedly entered a period of upheaval and difficulty in his life during the summer of 2018. Few people could have anticipated this. At the same time that his family was going through a string of critical health difficulties, Gary Sinise was going through a sequence of tragic occurrences that not only fundamentally altered his personal life, but also presented a significant test to his work and his spirit. As a result of these occurrences, he was forced to make a decision that was not only challenging, but also of the utmost significance. This decision marked a turning point in his acting career that had never been seen before. Gary had already finished several highly anticipated last projects before announcing that he would be retiring from the screen. These productions included Joe Bell, I Still Believe, and the final season of the famous series 13 Reasons Why, which was released in 2000. Following that, he decided to entirely abstain from performing to devote all of his time and efforts to providing care for his family during this challenging period. In a low voice, Gary revealed, "That was the moment when I decided to stop acting. My management team, my agent and everyone else were all made aware of the fact that I was no longer able to leave the house to start working. I needed to be present for my kid, where I could provide him with care and support throughout the most significant battle of his life." The fact that his son, Max Sinise, was diagnosed with a very uncommon form of osteosarcoma was the primary factor that led to this agonizing choice. Mac was given a diagnosis of osteosarcoma in August of 2018, which is an incredibly uncommon form of bone cancer that only affects around 300 individuals annually in the United States. The news came as a complete surprise to the Sinise family, and they were left in a state of disorganization as a result. Gary is still able to recall the terrifying moment when he viewed the images of Mac's MRI, which reminded him of a monster grabbing his son's spine. Since that time, the family's top priority has been to provide care and support for Mac, as well as to fight for his life against this condition that poses a significant risk of death. The state of Mac's health deteriorated considerably in a short amount of time, particularly in the year 2020, when he was admitted to the hospital for 6 of the first 8 months of the year. Gary took on the job of his son's air traffic controller. During this crucial period, he wore numerous hats that included arranging treatments, managing his medical care schedule, and being Mac's most ardent supporter. Gary revealed his confession, saying, "I was focused on finding a miracle for him. Because I didn't want him to be concerned about his upcoming treatments, I continued thinking about cancer and how I might assist him in getting through it daily." Regrettably, it seems that the difficulties did not end there. In addition, Gary Harris's wife, Moira Harris, was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer just a few short months before Mac was first diagnosed with the disease. Gary Sinise referred to the moment as a real punch in the gut, and he described the shock as a double whammy for the Sinise. In addition to having to deal with 2 significant family conflicts, Gary also had to be concerned about providing care for his elderly parents, who were becoming more and more fragile. Gary's mother was left more dependent on him as a result of his father's stroke, which added to the load of care and duty that Gary was already carrying. Moira's treatment was lengthy and laborious. She underwent surgery to remove lymph nodes, 8 rounds of chemotherapy, and 35 rounds of radiation, before she was ultimately certified cancer. The family had been going through a string of challenging days, so this was a welcome and unexpected bit of good news. Mac's condition, on the other hand, continued to deteriorate despite the family's persistent efforts to locate cutting-edge therapies and care that was specifically tailored to his needs. In addition to being a physical burden, the fight against the sickness was also a mental one for the whole Sinise family when they were going through it. The valiant fight that Max Sinise was waging against a rare kind of cancer was the focus of everyone's attention when Gary Sinise decided to withdraw from the public glare in Hollywood to devote himself to his son. Do you believe that people who are facing the sickness may have their lives changed by having the mental power and bravery to do so? Max Sinise battles cancer with courage. Chordoma, an extremely rare and dangerous bone cancer, has become the most difficult challenge in the life of Max Sinise, son of actor Gary Sinise. The disease affects only 1 in a million people worldwide, which shows how rare and complex it is. Chordoma is a form of cancer that arises in the spine or skull base, originating from the remaining cells of the notochord, an important embryonic tissue structure that helps form the spine during fetal development. Although chordoma is usually slow-growing, in Max's case the disease progressed very quickly, and the tumor spread throughout his body, making his condition much more serious than expected. In the United States, only about 300 people are diagnosed with chordoma each year, and there is currently no proven treatment or cure. Initially, doctors performed surgery to remove the tumor in hopes of stopping the disease from progressing. Unfortunately, however, Mac was among the small number of patients, about 30%, whose cancer recurred and spread after surgery. By November 2019, after his third spinal surgery, Mac's health began to decline severely. He gradually lost his mobility and was eventually paralyzed from the chest down. During his arduous 5-year battle, Mac underwent a total of 5 spinal surgeries, multiple rounds of radiation therapy, and tried more than 25 different experimental drugs in the hope of finding an effective treatment. As his son's condition worsened, Gary Sinise took on the role of air traffic controller for his son, taking on the responsibility of coordinating treatments, choosing doctors, researching experimental drugs, and handling all the logistics necessary so that Mac could focus on healing. "I didn't want Mac to have to think about the next treatment or worry about the future," Gary said. "I was always thinking about this disease, trying to find every option to help him get through it." In 2020, when Mac was hospitalized for 6 of the first 8 months of the year, Gary devoted almost all of his time and attention to caring for, coordinating, and supporting his son in this life or death fight. "It was like a full-time job for me to try to find a drug, a doctor, or anyone who could help Mac," he said. Amidst these storms, the Sinise disease deep Catholic faith has been their strongest anchor, helping them maintain hope and resilience. "Hope is what keeps you going every day," Gary emphasized. Mac in particular, despite his physical decline, remained stronger and more resilient than ever. He found solace in prayer, regularly read the works of St. Augustine, returned to his passion for music, which helped him find peace of mind. Despite knowing that Mac's tumors were growing larger and that treatments seemed to have little lasting effect, Gary remained steadfast in his faith and hope. "I didn't think we were going to lose it." Mac's courage and resilience throughout his painful and difficult journey have been an endless source of inspiration to his family and all those around him. Mac fought not only with his physical strength, but also with his indomitable spirit and soul, living each day with extraordinary courage and strength. It was this fierce fighting spirit that marked a meaningful story of perseverance and family love, overcoming all the harsh challenges that life brought. Max Sinise fought a courageous battle with a rare form of cancer, but his story doesn't end there. Did you know how Gary Sinise honored his son through music and a legacy that honors his courageous spirit? Gary Sinise honors Mac. On January 5, 2024, when Max Sinise passed away after a long battle with a rare form of cancer, the Sinise family entered a period of both grief and hope. While cleaning and organizing Mac's personal belongings, Gary Sinise, a devoted father and renowned artist, unexpectedly discovered a treasure trove of previously unreleased music stored on his son's electronic devices, such as his laptop, iPhone, and iPad. These songs were completely unknown to Gary, opening a new door to honor and preserve the musical legacy that Mac had quietly built throughout his life. This unexpected discovery became the inspiration for a special project to introduce and preserve Max Sinise's precious musical works to the public, as well as to pay tribute to his resilience and artistic talent. Not only stopping at releasing old songs in early 2023, Mac rediscovered his passion for music when he decided to revive Arctic Circles, a composition he had written since he was a college student. Although his health was getting worse, he had to lie in bed and move around in a wheelchair. Mac still spent a lot of time and passion working with his capable collaborators, artists including Dan Myers, a member of the Dan Band founded by his father, and Oliver Schnee, an experienced music producer. Mac's relentless desire to create motivated the first recording sessions to take place on July 17, 2023, at the famous Sunset Sound Studio in Los Angeles. Notably, this recording session was entirely self-funded by Mac, a clear testament to his enthusiasm and determination even in the most difficult circumstances. Not only that, Mac also planned 2 more recording sessions in Nashville, Tennessee on November. Notably, the recording session at Blackbird Studio on November 10 coincided with his 33rd birthday, a day he wanted to dedicate to his father's band, as a meaningful gift and a connection between 2 generations of artists in the family. These recording sessions formed the foundation for the music album called Resurrection and Revival, an art project written and completed just a few short weeks before Mac passed away. The album is not only a recording of melodies, but also a symbol of the intense life and aspiration to rise of a resilient person in the fight against illness. Before his passing, Mac had a special wish that the proceeds from this album be transferred to the Gary Sinise Foundation, an organization that he had been deeply involved with throughout his career, as Assistant Director of Education and Community Outreach. The foundation works to support veterans, first responders and their families, a mission that Mac contributed to by composing music for many of the foundation's videos, including the famous documentary Always Do a Little. Not stopping at the first album, Gary Sinise continued the project Resurrection and Revival Part 2, after discovering many other unreleased tracks on his son's devices. This second album brings together a total of 19 songs, including 17 original compositions of diverse genres and 2 covers, demonstrating Mac Sinise's versatility and multi-dimensional musical talent. Through this, Gary hopes that not only his family but also the music-loving community can feel and share the profound spiritual values that Mac left behind. Gary Sinise cannot hide his pride and dedication in transmitting his son's musical legacy. He expressed his wish, "I want everyone to listen to Mac's songs. I want them to be widely shared." Moreover, Gary is devoting himself to a great task, turning these melodies into vivid reality, by gradually realizing his dream of seeing Mac's music performed by an official orchestra. In addition, he is also researching an animated film project based on one of Mac's songs, aiming to enhance the creative value and preserve forever the artistic legacy that his son left behind. Mac Sinise's musical journey and life are a story of perseverance, courage and endless love. Through the music and projects that Gary continues to carry on, Mac's spirit and talent will live on, inspiring countless others and creating a living testament to the power of music to heal and connect people, even in the most difficult of circumstances. Gary Sinise has used his music and Mac's legacy to honor his son, but amid such great loss, how has the family found a way to move forward and stay united? Strength in grief and togetherness. Following the demise of Mac Sinise in January 2024, the Sinise family was presented with the overwhelming barrier of continuing ahead from that point on. A new purpose was established by the actor and his loved ones in the process of preserving Mac's legacy, while also gaining a greater respect for one another. This was accomplished by avoiding the tendency to let melancholy drive them away. A remarkable ability for persistence was displayed by the Sinises in the aftermath of Mac's passing through their actions. At the same time that it can bring you closer together, a tragedy of such scale also has the potential to destroy you. The amount of work that we accomplished together was quite substantial, Gary revealed. As a consequence of this, the family found comfort in the realization that Mac had arrived at a point of fulfillment concerning his destined path. He was clear that he did not intend to travel. Nevertheless, I am convinced that Mac was pleased with the outcome in the end. Gary recalled that he had handled the issue with bravery and respect. He was able to recollect this ability. The acceptance that Mac exhibited in his later years was demonstrated by Gary's comment that he was graceful in accepting what was happening to him. Mac's acceptance was a testament to his maturity. During the time that he was in the hospital, I had the opportunity to see him smile quite a bit, right up until the point where he was unable to smile any longer. As a direct consequence of his loss, Gary's perspective on the dynamics of his family underwent a significant transformation. According to what he shared with the reporters, "Since I lost Mac, I'm just holding my daughters a lot tighter." Now that Gary is a father of 3 children, including his daughters Sophie, who is 36 years old, and Ella, who is 33 years old, he is grateful for the role of Papa that he plays in the lives of his 5 grandchildren. In my opinion, everything about it is quite great. That is the most wonderful thing there is. When asked about his views on being a grandma, he responded by stating, "It's just the most wonderful thing." During this period, Gary realizes that there is a significant reason for him to share the story of Mac. "I want people to know who he was." The decision that the well-known actor made to quit the entertainment industry in Hollywood has not been changed in any way, shape, or form to this day. Gary is the first to admit that he has not been back to work since the year 2019, and he has accepted this fact. To a large extent, he has modified his goals to place a larger emphasis on his family. "Something may come along and it'll be right, but it's harder to leave home now," he added to the conversation. Because his home in Tennessee acts as a refuge for him,
He can focus on the things that are truly significant to him. It's harder to leave home now for long periods because I just want to be around the family. Gary continues to remain committed to his charitable work through the Gary Sinise Foundation, while at the same time paying homage to Mac's legacy through the release of his music. This is in addition to everything else that Gary does. Have you ever lost a loved one and realized that the pain brought your family closer together? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like,